Tuni program entute teng nabe kuna ni taklampa. Tuni SSPP Joint Headquarter Delhi in asai Siamsin talks masakna pen ahile civil service tips and trips for civil service chi ahia haya panelists ai nei ukha mimon wai mama le lo chena sang tanga te mini ahiwa amin teu hele Richard Yanthan le Akram Nonjai ahiwa amau tegel SSPP program entute teng nabe kuna ni taklampa. Tuni SSPP Joint Headquarter Delhi in asai Hello, good evening. Yeah. Once again, I take this honor to welcome our very esteemed guests, Mr. Akram Nonjai and Richard Yanthan, two very prominent figures of Northeast right now. They have civil service 2019 with very high rank. Mr. Richard, he has scored 133rd rank, and Mr. Akram, he has scored 188th rank. Once again, congratulations and welcome to you to SSPP Joint Headquarter Delhi.
Thank you for having us.
Once again,
thank you. Thank you.
I think there's a little issue with the audio. And Richard Yanthan, two very prominent figures of Northeast now. Just once again. Okay, I think it's sorted out. Sorry guys for the delay. Since it's the first time, so I think there is some technical issue, and I hope everybody understands that mistakes happen. Okay, once again, welcome guys for this talk. So first of all, I'd like to give time to you guys to introduce yourselves. You can tell us more about your hobbies, your personal life, and how you have been, how you have come out of all the struggles. So first, I would request Mr. Richard to start. Richard, your mic is muted.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, thank you again for having me here. My name is Richard. I'm from Nagaland. I've done my graduation in BTech Civil Engineering, and I graduated in the year 2017. After that, I gave the UPSC. My first attempt was in 2018. There, I was able to reach the interview stage, but I could not make it to the final merit list. And so this year, I've been fortunate enough to have qualified it and to have made it to the Indian Administrative Service. A bit about my personal self. I stay in the state capital of Kohima. I have two siblings, a younger brother and a younger sister. My dad passed away when I was young, so I've been with my mom and her extended family, and they supported me throughout this journey. Uh, so hobbies would the hobbies that I have would include watching videos on YouTube, playing the guitar a bit, and then just reading about stuff. If there's something interesting that comes up, I dwell in that. So that's a bit about my personal self.
Oh, that's good. I think Akram has some technical issue again. I think he'll join us back. Uh, so until then, Richard, I'd like to ask you the first question of the night. So
Okay.
when we talk about civil service, we all know that it's a very difficult exam. It's a very tough one. Lakhs of people apply every year, but very few clear. So when you talk about this year, there were 8 lakh people who registered for it, and only 829 people clear it. And you were one of them. You were not only one of them, but you scored a very high ranking. So why do you think, or what do you think is the reason that you were able to clear, but many were not able to do?
Uh, so there are a number of factors as to why less number of people are able to get clear. First of all, it's logic that the number of posts that is advertised is around 800, average 800 per year. It may increase sometimes to 900, 1,000 posts, but usually it's around the 700-800 mark. And so and the number of candidates aspirants keep on increasing because our country, being one of the younger countries, we are also facing the issue of demographic dividend, where we have a lot of young people entering the workforce, and so we have a large number of graduates and postgraduate holders. So they also appear for this exam, which makes the competition a bit tougher. Having said that, I think I've been fortunate enough to have cleared this exam. I would say it's because of God and of course hard work and a lot of support from well-wishers, family members, friends, and some other people also. You have to be focused in this exam. I mean, I would say that clearing in 2 attempts uh, in my second attempt, I'm among the fortunate ones because, like you said, there are a number of people that I also personally know who have been appearing for this exam for multiple uh, occasions, on multiple occasions, but they have not been able to clear this exam. So that is an issue with that. Also, the other factor is that an element of luck should be there on your side. Luck, I don't mean as in just going and then giving the exam. What I mean is that there are a number of factors which will have to favor you. That is called luck, not just going out there and then you clear the exam. Those factors would include, if what you studied in that particular year was asked in the mains paper, for instance, or the prelims paper. You got say a more favorable interview board, whose members were more considerate towards you, then you would score better. And ultimately, those factors also help. They are not the only factors. They are some of the factors which ultimately decide whether you make it to the civil services or not.
Okay. So I think Akram is still having a little issue, so we'll have to wait a little longer for him. Uh, so I think we're going to miss him for some time. But in the meanwhile, I'm happy that you're still with us. And so I would like to ask a very general question. How do you feel right now? I mean, all the fame and all, you must be very popular, not only in Nagaland, all over India. So how does that feel?
Well, I didn't plan for the same. I just wanted to clear the exam and
Mhm.
get into the IAS. This was an additional, benefit which was bestowed upon me. Something which I haven't thought of, or something that I haven't planned or dreamt of. It's something that has come my way. But of course, I know that I'll have to be careful while handling this because it can go to my head and then jeopardize my entire career. So for that, I'll have to balance the fame and as well as carry out whatever duties have been assigned to me. So yes, initially there was a moment of awe and shock when the results came out. I was also quite surprised, but over the days I came to realize it, and I'm grateful that I've got this opportunity. And currently, I'm going my foundation course training in the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration. Until now, it's been a wonderful experience. It's all that I've always dreamt about, I've seen videos, pictures about it. You guys must also be seeing on YouTube, Instagram, and all. And I hope those things motivate you, because once you make it here, this is where your journey truly starts. It's not that you achieve the civil services and that's where your journey ends. It's just a stepping stone, and that is the first stepping stone which you can use to further propel yourself in your bureaucratic career.
Mm-hmm. That's very good to know from you, because you have been there, and there are so many people who dream about it, yet they can't really be there. And I heard that there is an outbreak or something over there. Some of you are quarantined.
Yes, after the Himalayan trek, there was some cases of some of the probationers turning out to be COVID positive, but the academy has taken all measures to control the outbreak, and there hasn't really been a major outbreak. So all the academies have been isolated. We are under room quarantine, and then we've been taken good care of. They are providing us for our daily needs, any requirements, medicines, food, everything has been provided. The director and his team are doing an excellent job in handling the situation, and it's just a matter of time before things return back to normal.
Okay, that's good. Then let's move on to a little more specific questions. So when you talk about civil service, do you think there is a specific type of personality that we need to be a civil servant, or do you think anybody can become one?
um, this year there were 800 plus candidates who got selected into the civil services, and all 800 of us have different personalities. There's those personalities that make us who we are. We're all different in many ways, but again,
Mhm.
there's a common denominator in each one of us, which I believe would not have been the clearing the civil services would not have been possible if that was not there. I think that is dedication and hard work. So any candidate, whatever sort of candidate or personality you may have, you need to work hard. You have to study a lot. This exam does require you to work hard. It tests you because the vastness of the syllabus is one aspect of it. Again, the unpredictability of the question paper, and then the array of questions that can be asked in this exam, and the level. It's a year-long exam, so it really tests you both mentally, physically, and so you will have to be prepared for that. So more than the personality, it is whether you are truly determined to go that extra mile to work to achieve what you have stated out to achieve, or else you'll be just among the thousands of aspirants who are just preparing but
Mhm.
really not dedicating into the civil services.
Okay, so that's again good to hear. It's very important. I think there are so many Northeastern students who come specially to Delhi. And okay, I think our dear friend is back. Hello, Akram. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
there was some network issue at my end.
it's all right. We really missed you so much. We are so glad that you are back.
Yes.
So we were just talking with Richard, and he told us a lot about why civil service, who can be a civil servant, the specific type of personality that a civil servant should possess. So I think you can again start with your introduction, uh, if you would like to share something.
Okay. Mm. My name is Akram Nonjai. I was successful in this year's civil service examination 2019. I'm 26 years old and I'm from Imphal, currently a professional at Lalboi Mangte Training Academy. My interest includes the playing football and watching football, going out with friends, and if time permits, did a little bit also and about the exam, about the civil service examination, my journey started in 2016. It was a long and arduous journey with full of failure as well as up and downs. This was my fourth attempt. By the grace of God, I was able to secure a decent rank in this year's civil service examination. Today, I'm quite interested in interacting with the uh, the younger aspirant. I think it's a very good opportunity for me to speak to you all, and I'm very glad that Lalboi and their company are organizing this. So thank you, Lalboi, and the organizing team. And today, from my side, you all can ask any question if whatever you want.
Yeah.
Don't be shy about asking anything. There is no such thing as like bad question or good question. It's just a matter of opinion. So feel free to ask anything you want. So I think we can get started with the program now.
Yeah. So
And sorry
Akram, yeah.
for the network issue.
It's okay. It's not your fault. So don't feel sorry about that. So I would like to ask you a very good question right now. You said that your hobby is to play football, nah? You love football.
Yeah,
So
I'm like bad at football, but I love football. Like, it's kind of like a bit of a enigma. Like, but I do follow football closely, just like everybody else from our place. So that's not a surprise to us anyway.
when you talk about football, footballers before game they have a specific dress code, nah? So
Yeah, yeah.
looking at your dress code, it looks like you're going to play a match. Is it true?
No, actually, I'm in right now under isolation. Came in contact with some COVID positive friends. So as a reason, I was not able to pack my stuff properly. So I didn't bring that many clothes. So I had to wear the academy tracksuit for today. So today now I'm in isolation. So there is no way I can play football at least for like a week or so.
Okay, you said you're in isolation. How are you doing right now? Are you having any
No,
difficulties?
right now I'm fine. But it's just for the precautionary. They are keeping us in isolation.
Okay. That's very good to hear. So I would like all the attendees and all the viewers on YouTube to know that we'll be taking question and answers. As Mr. Akram has already said, they are more than willing to take the questions. So you guys should be prepared with your questions. And how we'll be moving on is we'll first start with some specific prelims question, and I already have some questions prepared, so I'll ask them those questions and they'll answer. And after that, if you think you have any question related to prelims, just raise your hand or you can type on YouTube. So we have a team monitoring the questions. They'll let me know and we'll direct those questions to the panelists. Okay. So when we talk about civil service, it is in different stages, right? So the first one is prelims. So So the first question that everybody asks is how many questions to attempt in prelims? So can you go first, Richard?
So it depends on a number of factors. One is the question paper. You don't know what type of question paper would come that year. Suppose if the paper is on the easier side, then you'd have to attempt a bit more. Say around 80 questions, 70, 80 questions, just to be sure that you'd make it. And then there are some years where the cutoffs go as below as below 80. Last year, and then probably this year also it'll be more or less around 80. Plus or minus of 3, something like that. So it depends on that. The other thing is that if you have studied well and if you're confident of the answers there, I mean, that doesn't matter. Of course, there will be a limited number of questions that you should attempt. But if you are comfortable with the number of questions that you have attempted and you think that they are okay or sufficiently correct, I think you can stop there. Of course, I don't mean to say that attempt 30 questions or 40 questions, but more than half would be the bare minimum. At least 50 is the bare minimum. Everybody would say that. But again, whether to attempt 60 questions, 70 questions, or 80 questions, that depends on your confidence level in the exam hall. If you feel and if you have worked hard, you will have the confidence in the exam hall that what I have done is correct, and then that would be enough for you to sail through the preliminary stage of the exam.
Just a second. There's a question here. It's asked name of the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is SSPP Joint Headquarter Delhi. SSPP Joint Headquarter Delhi. So if you search, you will be able to find the link. Okay, if there's anything you can ask. Yeah. So thank you for the response, Richard. Akram, would you like to add anything?
Yeah. Richard is he is correct in whatever he is saying. I would like to add one more point. Like, it depends. At the end, it depends on you also. Like, for example, like some people are cautious in their attempt. Some people like to attempt more because they rationalize the negative marking to an extent. For example, I always try to attempt around 90 questions. In that way, I'm able to get around 100 plus when I'm attempting the mock test. So when you are attempting the mock test and when you are giving solving the MCQ, you will have an idea where you are comfortable at. The whole purpose of prelim is to clear the cutoff. It's not to top the prelim. There is no bonus point for topping the prelim. So so you have to choose very smartly. What normally I do is like in the first round I will try to attempt like 30-40 questions with 40 questions which I'm 100% sure about it, and then next I will go for the question where I'm like sure about the two option, or I'm able to eliminate at least one option. And then in that way I will try to attempt at least IT, even if the question is tough in my opinion. It's a little bit because even if we attempt like 60 questions, the chance of getting like 15 wrong is very high. And so as a reason, I think attempting lesser number of questions is a bit risky, but it depends on your accuracy. If you are able to get a very accurate answer, if you are able to guess it correctly when you are practicing the test, then it's better to go on that side. But sometimes from my experience, the question where you are 100% sure at times can be wrong as well, because sometimes the perception can be wrong as well. So if it is up to me, then I will suggest that attempting not of 75, like 75 to 85, and if you are
So I think there is little issue with the audio again. So at least we get the idea that around 75 to 90 questions is good enough. So if moving on to the next question, Richard, do you think notes are required for prelims?
Notes will be required for you throughout the 3 stages of this exam, whether it's prelims, mains, or interview. Because why notes are handy is that, especially for revision right before the exam, they really come in handy. And since we don't have centers, for instance, if you're appearing from the Northeast, for example, if you're from Manipur, Nagaland, or say Arunachal, you don't have centers in our states for the main. So you'll need to carry all your materials to Dispur or Shillong. So that being said, if you have notes, compacted, well-prepared notes, that will help you, reduce the amount of notes that you'll have to carry. It helps in quick revision, and also notes is something which is personal. How you make it. I've seen people making mind maps. Some people are good with remembering in terms of flowcharts, so they make flowcharts. Or some people are just good with making essay type long notes. So that depends on you, but ultimately you will need a certain amount of notes. Now, how much of it to make, that depends. Note making is a means to an end. The end is to clear this exam. So if you replace your end with just making notes, you'll end up having the best notes. Maybe you'll get a very good price in Purjinagar or Rajendra Nagar, but you won't be able to clear this exam in the end. So note making should be up to that extent where you're comfortable that there will be a value addition that will help you in revision, as well as help in understanding the concepts and whatever topics you're studying. So note making should be balanced. As per my opinion, it should be a balanced approach.
And what about you, Akram? Do you think note making is important for prelims?
Note making, I think it's more important for mains than prelim. Like prelim is, but in prelim also, like the whole purpose of note making is for revision. Like to make it easier for you to revise. So it's not a bad idea to make notes, but like Richard said, the attention should be given equally to reading the things properly first, understanding the syllabus, having a comprehensive ideas about the syllabus, and especially in prelim, the range of question is quite vast. So I think practicing the test series is very important in prelim. The MCQs, focusing on current, you have to focus on your current affairs. So in current affairs, you can make notes for prelims for some topic like organization, or like some topics where when you are attempting the test series and you are getting some question incorrect, then you might note down that questions, the answers, so that you can revise it later on. So in that way, it depends up to you. I did not make notes for preliminary. I was quite comfortable in preliminary examination. So it depends up to you as well. But having said so, I think note making is indispensable for the mains papers. So it depends up to you as well.
That's a very good point. So we need to be more focused about notes for mains and less for prelims, right?
Yeah, in my opinion, but there is no harm in making notes for prelim as well. But if the cost benefit analysis, because the syllabus when you are preparing for your UPSC, you don't have to segregate prelim and mains. Your preparation has to be on integrated manners. So as a region, when you are making notes for mains, it does cover prelim as well. So rather than segregating and compartmentalizing your preparation into two different blocks, I think you should integrate your preparation. And when the prelim times comes, when it's like 2.5 months before, then you can directly focus on prelim. And that time you can now, because of technologies, everything is available online. The notes are there. You can buy the current affair from the Vision IS, there is PT365, that it's a service and notes in a way. So it depends up to you, whether the note making is benefiting you, then you should go ahead with it. But if you feel like you can do without the note making, then that's absolutely fine in prelim, in my opinion.
Okay, that's good. So when we talk about the syllabus is very vast, as Akram has already said. So how did you guys manage to cover the syllabus? Did you depend on the coaching, or did you do something else personally? So yeah, Richard can go first again.
Firstly, the syllabus is so vast that you won't find any person who has covered even 90% of the syllabus. The topper himself will be this year. Maybe he has covered around 70, or at the best 80%. More than that, I think it's not possible to cover the syllabus. What you can do is make predictions of the questions they may be asked. For instance, if you look at important events, or say any organization which is approaching its centenary, its jubilee, it has been established for say 75 years, 100 years, or any major freedom fighter figure, or someone's death anniversary, centenary is approaching, or something like that sort, or if the government is taking a major initiative, those questions will most probably be asked, or something related to that. So within the syllabus you can narrow down that. And if you practice enough answer writing, and if you look at the previous year question papers, you will get a sense of prediction. I have seen people being able to predict up to 15 questions from the main. That's because they practice a lot, and eventually you do get better. And the more test series you write, the more questions you attempt, you'll feel like you'll understand the syllabus better, and you'll be able to answer. But having said that, there will always be one or two questions, or maybe even more than that, which will be totally out of the blue. No one, or hardly anyone would have studied that, and very few people would have a concrete idea of what that question demands. So you need not worry about that. Your main aim should be to score as much as possible. You're not trying to score 100% in this exam. That's not even possible.
And what do you say, Akram, about this? Anything to add?
Yeah, I agree to what Richard is saying. The syllabus is, yes, the syllabus, especially for prelim, it's quite vast. Especially in prelim, the unpredictable nature is quite high in prelim. But in prelims, like we said, we have to clear the cutoffs. You don't have to compete for very high marks in prelim. It's neither possible nor desirable. But in mains, like Richard said, once you have a hang about the syllabus, you'll get to know that what kind of question is going to come. Like he said, I will really believe if you read the syllabus properly, thoroughly, and make some proper notes and do some number of times of revision, then you will be able to predict 14, 15 questions. Like he said, you will be very comfortable with 14, 15 questions. There will be 3 questions where you have some ideas about the question, and 1, 2 questions where you have no idea in the mains examination. And that's the nature of the examination. So if you are able to attempt 15 questions very well in the mains examination, then you are gonna get good rank. You're gonna get good marks in the exam. So it's all about understanding how to clear the exam. So you have to do the necessary hard work, And not just the hard work, it's not just about reading, it's about skilling as well. Skill yourself in such a way that you are able to answer it. It's about time management, it's about being consistent with your effort. It's about ensuring that knowing that what your weakness is. Like sometimes we focus more on our strength rather than our weakness because we are not able to identify the weakness. So there is always a room of improvement. So when you are writing the answers, don't get disheartened by it. In the beginning, most of the people write very bad answer, and even in the exam we also write bad answers. So in my opinion, the combination is between the bad answer, the one who wishes lesser bad, they are the one getting selected. So don't worry about the quality of the question answer per se. There is no perfect answer, in my opinion. It's about maintaining a certain level of quality, and once you get that quality, and you have to be consistent. Like if you are writing like 5 very good answers and some other ordinary answers, then you wouldn't be able to clear the exam. So it's about the consistency across the topics and across the papers. So we have to focus on ensuring that we try to touch each part of syllabus, especially in mains. In prelims, but in prelims the standard books are already there for polity, for economy, for geography, and all those. And believe me, all those people who got selected also, they read that book. Some doesn't even read that book. So don't think that the people who got selected are reading different books or they are reading more. It's not about more. It's about making more out of less. Like so, focus on that.
So that's good. So what do you think? Preparations should be mains focused or prelims focused, or it should be integrated?
Yeah, it should be integrated. But it should be integrated when you begin the preparation, and when you are approaching like 2.5 months before the prelim, then you can directly focus on prelim. Like you have to clear the prelim to clear the exam. So after that, after the prelim, then the mains part will come. So by that time, you have to focus entirely on mains, and then after that, interview. And as far as interview is concerned, I think you can forget about interview for the time being. Like just focus on the mains and prelim. And once you clear the mains, you have enough time and enough opportunity to prepare for the interview. So I think we have to right now, especially in the last 3-4 years, the nature of prelim has become very unpredictable. So as a region, we have to be a little bit sure about it, and especially the CSET has become tougher as well. Many people are finding it really difficult to clear CSET as well. So focus on that part as well. And after that, and one more thing, like uh, 1 year is more than enough time for you to clear the exam. So do not think that you will need like 2 years and 3 years because someone else took 3 or 4 years. Just like 14 months is more than enough for, in my opinion, to clear the exam. And many people have cleared with 13 or 14 months of preparation. So focus on making the quality of your time rather than the quantity of your time. So don't focus on like maybe some people are reading like 10-12 hours. Maybe you can do better than them with reading 7-8 hours as well, but you have to be very, very consistent. So it's up to you as well.
And anything to add, Richard?
Yeah, Akram has actually summed it up pretty well. When he began by saying that don't look at the prelims, mains as exams. They shouldn't be looked as different exams. They are not in watertight compartments because what you study for prelims will be helpful in your mains and so on. Even in the interview, both the preliminary and the main stages will help you. If there is any factual question being asked, you'll require the knowledge from the stages of the exam, from those stages, to answer the question. As Akram was also mentioning, I've also seen some people, they give prelims, they clear, and then they're surprised that they cleared the exam, and they have 3 months or 4 months to write main. So then they have to master the art of answer writing. They have to practice essay writing. They have to structure their answers, to have management, and they'll have to study some new topics which are extra topics in mains, which may not be in the preliminary stage. So all these factors. So when you start for this exam, don't think that first I'll clear prelims, then I'll look at mains. It has to be like Akram said, an integrated approach. That's what I believe in. That's right.
So there is, it looks like there is another factor, very important one. It's, I think, time management. How you manage your year cycle, your annual cycle. It's not just about trying to clear a specific section. It's about trying to clear the whole, in one attempt or in the second attempt. So how did you guys manage your time?
Okay. See, time management is very, very important, and it is a very long examination. So you have to be on your toes the whole process. See, there are two, in my opinion, two aspect to it. One is like time management in your daily day to day, like how do you manage your time on day to day, and one is how you manage time during the exam when the exam is really near or on the exam day. So on your day to day, like, see, it's about the consistency. Think it this way, like, if you are not working, putting the necessary hard work, there are thousands and lakhs of people who are putting the work, those necessary work. So how are you going to top ahead of them, like, if you are not even doing the bare necessary things? So there is no option for you not to be like consistent or not to give the necessary efforts. So that part is like non-negotiable. Second is like prioritizing your needs. Prioritizing, for example, like I was like not so good in writing, like, I am lazy about writing, so I had to work really hard on my writings, because I had to pull myself to write, because if I don't write it, then I wouldn't be able to clear it. So, and I learned it the hard way after giving 2 months, that I had to focus more on my answer writing. So that's learning from the experience, I'm telling. So you will know where you are lacking it. So you have to focus a little bit more on that part, prioritize your necessary aspect. And if you are like, for example, if you are weaker in your optional, then focus more on your optional. And if once you are able to master your optional, then you can move on to other aspect. So it will depend up to you. So do not follow, and there is no set pattern. There is a broad agenda which you can follow from the other toppers. But as far as your micromanaging your tasks, it's up to you. It's up to your necessity. So not sit on in the morning, like, look forward to what you have to do. You start with your newspaper, then what are the micro target you had for the day, and where at the end of the day, evaluate whether you are able to do like 70-80%. If you are able to do 70-80% of your target, because the target tends to be very ambitious, so then that is a successful day. So think it that way. So broke it down to, like, days, weeks, months. And when the exam is really near, I from my personal experience, controlling your emotion is very important. Like, sometimes things can go overboard. It can feel little bit overwhelming. There is a certain aspect of fear. Family issue might be there, societal pressure might be there. So that's normal. The other people are also having the same issue. So you don't get like sympathy for that, like, because it doesn't matter to the UPSC what kind of issues you are having. So you have to be aware about that it's okay, like, take it on your chin and try to move forward. I know it's easier said than done, but try to manage your emotion a lot when the exam is approaching. If you are able to manage your emotion, then I think, especially in prelim, like, you will be able to clear the exam, like, and that's it, like, in my opinion.
Anything to add, Richard?
Yeah, time management, as you were asking. So initially, I began, just by reading the core conceptual knowledge materials. So I tried to boost my knowledge. I tried to read the concepts, and from then on, after 1 or 2 months, I started giving this test series for the prelim. Till then, I had not started answer writing, but I would suggest that you start answer writing. You can answer at least 1 or 2 answers in a day, or at least 3 or 4 answers in a week. Start with that. Answer writing is really important. Why that is important is because it helps you manage time better. Even in the exam hall, you'll see that if you have attempted sufficient tests, you are able to manage your time really well, and you're able to give out better answers. Or even in the prelims, you have extra time to solve maybe some questions which you may have overlooked, or which you may have not got initially. Uh, so that is an important aspect of it. And as Akram was saying, he broke it down. So I also broke down my preparation. I set weekly targets. So every week I would set, that I'd cover this much amount of topics. And always, it was not always possible to cover 100% of it. But if I reached 70 or 80% of it, I was quite satisfied, because I knew that most people would be facing the same issue. And when I did talk to them, they were facing the same issues. So you can manage your time in that way. So it is also important, like you should have your preparation time as well as your personal time. But your preparation time should be on the higher side. You should prioritize that, and give more priority entry to whatever you are preparing. In the long run, your ultimate aim is to clear the exam. So, this exam also teaches you a very important aspect of time management, which, if you get selected, you will require a lot in your professional career when you become a bureaucrat.
Mhm. So one common practice that I've seen from the talk is that both of you had your weekly goals. Am I right?
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So how important was
Yeah.
that in your preparations?
Yeah, it's important because it sets a specific target, like goals, like or destination is a long journey. If you become like successful in small step, then you will be able to complete the whole task. You cannot jump one long jump and complete it. So it has to be like it on a very specific and very ordered manner. So in that way, like now weekly, even it can be a daily, or if it is like it can be a 2 week time. For example, like if you are reading polity, for example,
Mhm.
and then you set a target that I will complete this much chapter in this week, then you will be able to give more effort, more dedication. Your efficiency will improve, your effectiveness will improve, and in that way uh, you will be in the right direction. Like if you do not target it, then if you do it in a haphazard manner, then you will not be able to complete it in a thorough manner. And it is a well-known fact that especially in uh, especially in preparation, that you have to be very well versed with most of the aspect. So if you broke down the smaller, then you can go into a much deeper aspect to it, and in a very thorough manner. So I think it is indispensable that you have to break it down, in my opinion, so that will make it much more effective and much more efficient.
Okay. And what about you, Richard?
Yeah, just adding to what Akram is saying, breaking down your syllabus into weekly goals or weekly targets also gives you a psychological boost. The syllabus then doesn't seem too vast or that big,
Yeah.
so you're better able to tackle it and better able to approach it. You're also able to look into those areas or those topics which have subtle nuances, and you might miss them out if you just started preparing, without setting your weekly targets. You may also mess up different topics, and you may get confused in that. So weekly targets will help you eliminate those obstacles.
Mhm. So you guys have mentioned so many lessons that you have learned along the way. But is there anything else that you would like to add? Especially I would like to direct this question to Akram. He has had 4 attempts. That means he has had a little more experience than Richard. So maybe he has learned a little more lessons. And if there is anything else you would like to share regarding preparations for prelims.
Like, please rephrase the question. I was not able to get it.
Yeah. Uh, do you have any other lessons to share regarding preparations for prelims?
See, in prelim, see, I started preparation in 2016, and I was able to clear the prelim in the first attempt.
Mhm.
Even I was surprised that I cleared the prelim in first attempt. My suggestion about prelim is that prelim is an aptitude. It's not just about the knowledge. There is an aspect of aptitude to it. It's about developing a certain level of skill, like our ability for you to know what is the correct answer despite not knowing the topic per se. Like in preliminary examination, for example, there is a question where there are 4 options, and in that you had don't, even if you don't know the correct answer, if you know the wrong answer, then you will get the correct answer. So you are not being asked, it's a process of elimination. So you have to develop that skill, and that skill will be developed only with practice. Like there is no shortcut to it. Practice, decent amount of test paper is freely available online and in market. Then I think there is no reason for you not to clear prelim,
Mhm.
provided that you are lucky on that day as well. So luck do play a little bit of part. And in my experience in last 4 years is that I have seen many people stumbling in CSET despite getting really good mark in GS. If you cannot clear CSET, then there is a very it's kind of like an own goal in football. Like you are you are like you just have to pass the hurdle, but you did not put the necessary works, so you are not able to clear it. So
Mhm.
so you try to avoid that part as well. When you are reading it, we tend to focus too much on the GS and sometimes ignore the CSET as well. So avoid that, and I think you should be able to clear prelim.
So you just mentioned CSAT.
Yeah.
So there's a general perception that CSAT is little easier for people with science background. Do you guys agree with this? Let's start with Richard.
Well, to some extent it's true, but then the whole GS paper would certainly benefit our students then. So and then ours is just a qualifying paper. So yeah, yes, if you have science, as a as your background, then you do get certain advantage of it. But having said that, there's no reason to worry that you won't be able to clear the CSAT, because most of it is just things that we have learned but we have forgotten. Things we have learned in our 8, 9, 10 standards. It's just those things. Maybe they'll frame the question in a very fancy manner, which may seem confusing, but if you break it down, it's the same concept, the same method of answering, and even the language used. It's just on a higher level. That's it. If you have the confidence and if you practice your CSAT regularly, you should be able to clear it. There's nothing to worry about that much.
Anything to add, Akram?
Yeah, yes, it does benefit the science student, but they don't get any bonus point out of it. It's just a qualifying paper. It doesn't get count. So even if they are scoring 130 and you are scoring IT, there is no differences. So in that way, I think there is nothing to be worried about this, because it is and like Richard said, it is an easy paper. Out of 200, you have to score 66, and there are 30 English questions, which is common for both the arts and the science paper. And you have to work on some basic maths, which you have studied in class 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you will be able to clear it with relatively easy. So just practice a little bit, and then you will be able to clear it.
Mm-hmm. So moving little off topic, there's a question here. There's a question which says, which cadre have you chosen and why?
Okay, cadre is like we had already given a preference of our cadres when we fill the form, and what will we be allocated depends on the vacancy. And vacancy are predetermined before the exam, so it is not up to us. It's a matter of luck. It depends on the rank. It depends on the vacancy. There is a diversion of 1:2 insider outsider ratio. So I'm sure Richard has put Nagaland as first choice. I had put Manipur as first choice. But whether we get Nagaland or Manipur doesn't depend on us. It depends on the vacancy. Cadre will be allocated within a month times, finger crossed. But we have equally good chance of not getting our home state as well. That's the nature of all India service. You are supposed to work all across the country. So we are yet to receive our cadre. We'll be receiving hopefully by the end of December. And by that time, we will know which state we will be getting.
So anything you'd like to add, Richard?
Yeah, like Akram said, it's something beyond your control. It depends on vacancy also, and then the cadre policy also keeps changing from time to time. So that also determines whether you land up in your home cadre or whichever cadre you go to. So those things are beyond your control. So your main objective should be to clear this exam, and then wherever you are sent to, serve with dedication.
Yes.
And if you are really passionate about serving in your home cadre, you can always try for deputation.
So if there is any specific question from the attendees or from the YouTube viewers regarding prelims, it's open now. Attendees, they can raise hand. So there is Lalboi Dongil. I'll give him a chance to talk so he can ask the question directly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Lalboi.
Yes.
Yeah. Please, question should be prelim specific. Okay.
Prelim specific.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought of typing, but it'll be a long one, so I prefer speaking. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
At the same time, congratulations to SSPP for this initiative. Yeah, my question is, now that I've also given the exam, say 2-3 times and I've not cleared the exam. So I have this option in mind whether I should go for academics and then maybe also find time, if I can give the exam and attempt sincerely again. So in that regard, if I have to ask regarding the prelims specific, have say 7-8 hours to give for the exam, what would be your suggestions?
Just one question. Have you cleared the prelims before?
No.
Okay. Okay. So, did you find any reasons why you were not able to clear prelims, or have you not done? Have you done some self introspection?
I think I have given enough sincere effort in the year 2017, which throughout the year, yeah, I think in my opinion, I've given my best.
So yeah, so that's a good thing. You already know your weakness, so now you just have to work on your strength. So I think if you give one more sincere attempt, there's a very good chance that you'll clear the prelims. And at the same time, keep your focus on the mains also, because that ultimately determines whether you get into the service or not. Like the interview stage, Akram said before, that's far away. Don't worry for now. You can have mock sessions and all, to get prepared for that. But for now, my suggestion would be, I think you are a prospective candidate, and then you have what it takes to clear this exam. So you yourself are saying that you have not been able to give full dedication. I think if you give it once and try, you can surely clear this exam.
Yeah, adding to what Richard is saying, like, see, it's whatever happens. Like, your unsuccessful attempts happens. There is nothing you can change about it. But what happens now, that's up to you. Like, you can, and like I said, like, you require one attempt to clear it. So make a very sincere attempt, like, do whatever is necessary. And as you have already given attempts, you are already well aware about the topics. You are well, much better than many of the newer aspirants. So it's about making the small details right. It's about correcting the small issues that you have. It's about bringing about consistency. It's not about reading 3 months very hardly and then you stop for like 2 months. Then the whole 3 months become waste in a way. So it's about putting in a concerted effort for at least a year, and I think you will know. It's up to you. The first person who will know that whether you are doing it right is you. So that time you will know that you are on the right track, and then you will get the motivation to give it at least one sincere attempt. And I think you deserve it. You owe it to yourself to give at least one attempt, because you had given 3 attempts where you know that there was some limitation on your side. And after that, it's up to God as well. Like, if God is willing, then there is no reason why you cannot clear it, just like we did.
So I hope it is clear enough. So we wish you the best, Lalboi.
Yeah.
We hope that you clear civil service and someday you join us again as a panelist. Would
Yes,
love to have a session with you. So there is another one from IAS. I don't know if he's a real IAS or somebody who dreams to be an IAS. So we'll let him talk again. Once again, the question has to be prelim specific, okay? Yeah, so IAS. You can unmute yourself. Okay, I think there is some issue with him. So there's another one, Moncha. This will be the last question for prelims. So we'll ask Moncha to talk.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, Mon, you can go.
Okay. Hello. Okay, I got 2 questions, and
Hello. Yeah, it's still muted.
hello.
Yeah.
Okay, my questions are: What mistakes have you made along the way, and what are your success habits?
Okay. If I heard it correct, your question is what are the mistakes that we made along the way?
Yes.
Okay. See, I think I'm better suited to answer this question as I had 3 unsuccessful attempts before. So, first and foremost is like in my, especially in my first 2 attempts, there was a, in the first attempt I had like different mistake. I made different mistake. In the second attempt I had made another different mistake. In the third attempt there was some more mistake. So in the first attempt, what happened was I was focusing solely on the prelim part, and then I cleared the prelim, and by that time the time limit for mains was short, so I was not I lost my confidence, and I was not able to give full enough preparation to my mains preparation. And in my second attempt, I did clear the prelim, but in the mains again, I was not able to correct my own mistakes. I was not able to work on the area where I'm weak at. As a reason, I was not successful in mains again in 2017, despite being a second attempt. And in the third attempt, what happened was like I had cleared 2 prelim before, so I took the preliminary test a little bit lightly. And as a reason, I was not able to clear the prelim. So we have to be a bit more cautious on what kind of what are the things we are doing, whether we are doing it in the correct way. So in the fourth attempt I had a deep reflection on the mistakes that I was making it, and talking to the friends, and checking my previous test papers, and all those things, and working really hard on my optional, I was able to kind of like correct a little bit of my mistakes. So making mistake is indispensable. There is no one who doesn't make mistake. It's about repeating the mistake. If you are repeating the mistake multiple times, then there is, you are the one to be blamed. So it's okay to make mistakes, but ensure that you don't repeat the mistakes.
I hope you got your answer, Mohan. And now we'll be moving on to the next topic. It's mains. Since we have limited time, so we'll have to speed up things a little bit. Thank you for the question, and we wish you the best again. So moving on to the next part, it's mains. I think it's the most important one, arguably. So the first question that comes to mind is, how do you practice answer writing? So I think I'll direct this question to Richard because he already mentioned something about answer writing.
So yeah, answer writing. I began by writing test series. So I didn't join any test series because I came back to my home state to give my state services. So simultaneously, it was not possible to attend both test series and attend my coaching. So I couldn't do that. But what I did do was download the PDF versions of it, and then accordingly I would write and then check it with the model answers that they would give. I also wrote answers and checked it with the seniors, toppers who had scored really well in those papers, and then I would compare with that. So for me, it was more or less self-assessment. And when I gave my first attempt, I thought I realized some of the mistakes that I made, and then I corrected upon those, and that's how my answer writing improved in my second attempt, and that's one of the reasons why I got selected this time. So my suggestion would be, answer writing should begin at the earlier part of your preparation rather than the later stage, because at the end you will have that much time. And as we've said, mains is really what determines whether you get selected into the service or not. So answer writing is important, really important in that aspect. So if you're able to join a test series, there are some very good test series that you can join, and these days, you can join those online also. If not, then at least download some of the previous year papers or toppers answers, and then write them, and then compare with them. Write answers and compare, and see what they have done right or what they have done differently, and how you can improve those answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And hello, Akram. Can you hear us? Okay. So Akram will join us soon again. And so did you practice it again weekly or daily? Or did you start preparations, main preparations after prelims mostly?
Yeah, in my first attempt, I know there was a previous question where the questioner had asked whether what was the mistakes that we had made. One mistake is that I didn't fully, dive into the aspect of answer writing. I began it after writing prelim, so that was one of the mistakes that I made. I used to write, but not as thoroughly. I did write some answers, but not as thoroughly as I wrote them after my prelim. So in my first attempt, that was one of the reasons. Why I say this is because answer writing also helps you improve your answers. It helps you structure your answers. But at the same time, it teaches you time management. And to complete 20 questions in 3 hours is really difficult. You'll have to use every second of the clock, to be able to complete the paper. So for those reasons, I stress upon answer writing, for better answers as well as for time management.
And what about you, Akram? How did you prepare for answer writing?
Answer writing in my first attempt, I did a very less answer writing, but in this attempt, I focus a bit deal of my time on answer writing. In my opinion, like answer writing, more than just writing the answer, we have to a bit thorough about the topic as well, because if your knowledge about the topic is on the lesser side, then your answer quality will not be good, no matter how well your writing skill is. So you have to focus on the writing skill as well as being comprehensive about the topic as well. So in that way, you need to have a multi-dimensional views about the topics, and you have to prioritize the topics. In one topics, sometimes what happens is some of us, we will put the most important points in the later part of the answer more than the in the front part. So you have to work on those kind of skills, adding value to your answers, bringing novelty and creativity in your answer, bringing about drawings and bringing about data, catchy lines, yeah, adding quotations in the answers and all those things. So these are the things that will fetch you mark. For example, if you get like half mark more than others in every question in mains, then you will be getting 5 marks, 10 marks more than the other person. And that is 40 marks in 4 paper. There will lead to a around 200, 300 rank difference between you and the other person. So that's how you score better than the others. People who are giving mains in terms of their reading, most of the people are reading, giving the necessary times. The difference between the toppers and those people who could not get selected is that they are able to make their answers and their way of presentation better. So make your presentation a bit more catchy, creative, and in that way your answer will be better. Adding to what he was saying.
Yeah, I think that they are very important points. So again, when you talk about you two, both of you have engineering backgrounds. So selecting optionals must be a little difficult for you guys as well. So what optionals did you take and why? Yeah, Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm a civil engineer
Yeah,
graduate. I've taken public administration as my optional. The reason I took public administration was that it was, it was closest to the thing that I was attracted to, governance itself. So public administration mostly deals with the aspects of governance, and the civil services, work in the same realm as those topics which were discussed in public administration. Also, I looked at the questions, the previous year questions and the syllabus, and I found that those were things which I would be interested in studying, and I'd be able to answer them. So I did have initially a predicament between choosing political science and public administration, but in the end I decided to go with public administration because I found it more interesting, and ultimately I thought that this exam is a long process and you have to be interested in what you're studying. It's very easy to get distracted and then lose interest. So that's why I chose public administration.
Okay. And what about you, Akram?
Yeah, yeah. Choosing optional is one of the most important decision you have to make. Once you choose your optional, it's very difficult for you to change it. So there is no going back. So we have to weigh the pros and the cons before deciding it. The you the whole purpose of choosing an optional is to score good mark in the optional, in my opinion. So it can be any optional. So in order for that, you have to be a bit comfortable with the topics. So in my case, I chose sociology because when I look in the syllabus, uh, it was quite interesting. I had always had a liking for the day-to-day happening in the society, and sociology is study of society in itself. So in that way, it was quite natural for me to select sociology as of name. I did contemplate about thinking about choosing Manipuri as well, but I had studied only up to I'd standard, and my writing was bad. So like I said, it's not just about whether Manipuri is easier or sociology is easier. It's about my ability to score marks. So I did not choose Manipuri because I knew that I would not be able to score good mark in Manipuri. Despite Manipuri being a shorter syllabus and easier to read, but I will not be able to present my answer in a better way compared to other optional like sociology. So you have to weigh the pros and the cons in choosing the optional.
So one specific question for you, Akram. You took sociology. Now there are students from arts background who take sociology in their undergraduate, and then they take sociology again in masters. So if you were to compete with them, do you think you do better or they do better?
See, it depends on multiple factors. Like it's first and foremost, like to clear the exam, you do not need an expert view about the syllabus. You just need to understand the syllabus and read the topics, whatever is necessary, and write in the manner where what is being asked to you. In my personal opinion, like any optional, especially the arts optional, not the science optional, it requires like 3.5, 4 months for you studies, dedicated studies, to have a grip about the syllabus. Once you have that grip about the syllabus, your knowledge will be as good as it will be as good as a sociology graduate or a master in respect to UPSC exam. They might be better, they might have a better knowledge about sociology per se, but in terms of your ability to clear exams, that 4 months your study will bridge whatever the skill they have, and after that it's an equal game, I think.
Okay, that's a good point. And Richard, some people say that PubAd is an easy subject. Do you think that's true?
Public administration has had its ups and downs. I think this year we have had one of the lowest selections in the record of public administration. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's just 26 of us. I may be wrong, but it's somewhere around that. So, many people started taking public administration thinking that, the syllabus is small. It is almost, it's almost the working of the government. So, you can write, whatever you want and then, just clear the exam. And that's not true. Public administration, if you go deep into it, it's very complex. At the same time, also, it's easy if you have an interest in the subject. Why it is complex. It is complex because administration, it surrounds our lives. So you'll have to dive into topics and aspects which cover multiple other subjects. There will be elements of law in it. There will be management in it, and then there is polity. So it's a combination of other different subjects also, which brings its own challenges. So how you see public administration, whether it's easy or hard, that depends on your interest for the subject. You do not just take public administration for the sake saying that it's a scoring subject, because those who are scoring 300 plus, and you get inspired by them. They are really good in subject. They're really good, but again, there are not that many of them who are scoring that. The average score for public administration, if you see, it's like the other optionals as well. So it's true for all other optionals. There will be some who will be scoring really well, and then you also have people who score really bad in public administration.
So both of you will agree that it depends on the person, their
Yeah,
interest.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it
depends.
depends on the
Yeah.
interest.
There is like, some one optional may be very difficult for someone and it might be easy for someone. And
Yeah,
conversely, it can happen the other side as well. So it's all like we said, like the whole purpose is to get selected, score good
yeah,
marks. And if you think that you can score good mark in public administration, then that's fair. Like in the same way.
yeah. True.
So then moving on to the next one, how did you prepare for essay writing? Did you join specific test series or you just dependent on your coaching?
For essay syllabus, there is no specific essay syllabus. Most of the essay topic is contemporary, current affair related or GS topic related. I do practice essay writing. So for some the predictable topics like education, women, uh, green, climate change, global warmings, and disaster management. In this aspect, I do make a little bit of notes, but I focus more on the answer writings and I make it check with my fellow aspirants and my seniors. In that way, I'm able to improve my own writing and judge how I'm writing. Essay is a bit a tricky point, but in my opinion, like one with a decent English education background, it should not be difficult if you are well versed with your syllabus as well. So if I have to prioritize the, the different papers, then I think essay will be one which I think you should not be most concerned about. Like it will come along, like as the exam is approaching and all, you will be able to write. It requires answer writing practice, and you don't have to write essays like every day like GS. You write like once a week, and then I think your skill will improve.
Thank you. And what about you, Richard? How did you prepare for essay writing?
Essay writing, I practice mostly on my own, but I would compare it with model essays or essays that some of our seniors have written to see, where I could improve. And then, having said that, essay, yeah, we've been taught from our whenever we started writing answer writing when we were young, that there are three basic parts to it: your intro, body, and conclusion. You should go a little bit deeper into it for the UPSC. Your essays should have reasoning. You know, they should make the examiner think that this candidate is able to understand what the essay is asking. He or she is able to argument, and then provide answers to those arguments in the essay. So you'll have to be, quite rational, and then you'll have to write the essay in such a way that you see, that you are able to understand the topic. You are able to present the critical reasoning behind it, and then your essay will be it will be a fine essay if you can answer in that manner. If you are confused as to how this essay should be written, you can look at previous years, toppers or seniors, and then look at their essays. Or what you can do is also look at the news articles. If you read the Hindu or the Indian Express or any other newspaper, you will always find articles. They ask questions and they answer it in a very rational manner. So your essays should have elements of that. You score well in your essays if you do that.
Thank you so much. So what about GS then? There are four papers in GS, right? GS 1, 2, 3, 4. So how did you deal with GS papers, especially when you consider there are subjects like history, which are very factual. You have the dates to remember, then you have the names, names which are very unfamiliar, and then you have geography, which has very technical terms. So how did you tackle all of these?
Uh, this and as far as like GS is concerned, like you have to, like I said before, you have to break down the syllabus again. Like for example, within history, there are like modern history, and within the modern history there are like pre 1919, and then you can break it down that way, and then in that way, like you focus on the area where you are finding a little bit difficult, and then in that way you will be able to know which are the more important topic as well, what kind of question come from which topics, what are the area where you can focus on. Second is about like in mains, like in history, for example, you don't have to go too deep about it. You need to have a very good broad idea about it, and a structure about it, like okay, how things went about, what were the different aspect to the issues that revolves around, what were the events that happen, what are the things that causes it, how the thing turns out, what are the things you can learn from the topics. Those are the things that is important in mains. In prelim, factual that might be asked, but when you if you miss the factual that in mains, there is no penalty mark. It's about how you present the whole idea of the topic, not just in history, in other topic as well. So you have to be a bit thorough, have an opinion about the topics, and make up your minds, like prioritize the points, and then start writing it. And once you start writing it, when you rewrite the things in the exam, you will be able to recollect whatever things you have written and read. So in that way, you have to focus that way. Second is like being thorough with the syllabus. This is I've been repeating it again and again. Like once you know the syllabus well, and once you are aware about the different aspect of the topic, then no matter from where the question is coming, you will be in a much better position to handle the question. So you cannot overly focus on one aspect. You have to equally focus on the other aspect as well. For example, in GS, like GS1, there is a social issues, but in social issue it's a very vast issue. But if you broke down the syllabus into women, children, caste, so gender, and healthcare, social welfare measures, then it becomes smaller. In that way, you will be able to have a broad idea about those topics in a much better way, and the question will come from those questions, those aspects. And then you will have an idea about like what are the what does this topic exactly means, what are the various aspects to it, what are the things causing these issues, what are the solutions related to it. And in that way, if you are able to know most of the topics, then your GS topic will be covered. And then you have to mix it up with the answer writing, and then in that way you will be able to score good mark.
And what about you, Richard? Anything to add?
Yeah, there are 4 GS papers, so usually, people have strength in certain GS papers, and there will always be one paper where they're not really comfortable with. There may be certain outliers, certain people may find GS overall very easy, but someone who is say very good in history, may find ethics paper really hard. So it can happen like that. So Akram has pretty much said about how GS should be attempted. I'll just add some points to it. I think when writing your GS papers, if you have like chronologically, answer really looks neat and clean, and it also it looks really refined, the answer. In your geography and your environment ecology questions, if you can add diagrams, if you can add maps, that really helps you get maybe half a mark or 1 mark extra, and then it will help you in your overall ranking. For your ethics paper and all, if you can use quotations or examples, that also really helps boost your marks. So you should work look at the different aspects of the GS papers and then answer them accordingly.
Okay, so in case of a tie, I think GS marks are counted, right, for ranking. So this makes GS very important, right?
Yeah, GS is important in that aspect, and yeah, of course, and then GS is it tests everyone equally, in the sense that everyone is appearing the GS paper, and so it provides a level playing field to all the participants, all the candidates out there. So you should try to do as well as GS as you would do in your optional.
So since GS is so important, are there any easy subjects, or are they all same?
See,
More
easy
scoring.
or easy or there is no easy or hard thing. It's about scoring marks, and it will depend from person to person, year to year, the which marks, which paper fetch you more mark, and it's relative as well. For example, this year 90 plus mark in GS3 is a good mark, but it might not be the case in 2017 when people were scoring 120 plus, 130 plus in GS3. In the same way, in this year ethics, people are scoring above 120, but in 2017, like people were scoring in ITS. So it depends on the year as well. So it doesn't mean that the ethics paper were tougher in the 2017 than in 2019. It's just that how the marks are scored, how how you are being rewarded with your marks. So the important thing that need to be focused is about covering the topics rather than focusing on whether it's hard or whether it's easy. But having said so, you might be much more comfortable with some topics compared to others. But that doesn't mean that you will be scoring better mark in the topic where you are much more comfortable. It can happen the other way as well. So you have to be thorough with the other aspect as well. So you need to balance it out.
Yeah, like Akram said, if you have, for instance, your political science and international relations as your optional, that will, make your GS paper to say or the political questions relatively easier for you. So that's the only part of it. There's nothing like an easy part of it because easy is subjective. What you find easy will be difficult for someone else.
Yeah, that's a very good, very important point. So it depends on again the individual. So he or she has to know their strength and work accordingly, right? So again, it's very important, I think, to talk about the time management in mains. Though we have touched upon this little bit, there is only 3 hours to solve 20 questions. So do you have a specific method to attempt all the questions, or do you leave some questions?
Uh, I think you shouldn't leave any questions. It was one of the mistakes I made in my first attempt. I actually left around 4 questions, and that was one of the reasons why I couldn't clear the exam because it was around 45 marks. So it was a huge chunk of GS score, which I did not even attempt, let alone score. So I think you should not leave any question. Maybe a single question if you have left. You did not avoid that much, but again, you should try to answer all the questions. As for time management, I learned upon my mistake, and one of my senior, he had actually shared his technique, and I followed it. So what I did was this year I went for the 15 markers. That is, those questions having 15 marks. The ones that I were comfortable with first, I attempted those, and then I went to the 10 markers where I was really comfortable. Then I went to the 15 again, and then the 10 markers. So it was 15 easy, 15 hard, and then 10 hard for me. And that's how I was able to complete all the questions within the allotted time.
That's something new. You don't hear that very often. Thanks for a good advice.
The credit goes to my senior.
And what about you, Akram? Anything to share?
Yes, I normally target like I will start from the 15 mark question. So normally the 15 mark question starts from question number 11, and then once I complete the 15 mark question, so I will have specific time limit for 15 marks and then specific time limit for 10 marks. So what I used to do was I will check half hourly, like in a half hour how many questions can I complete. So I will have a specific target about it. Sometimes what happens is like in one question it may take maybe 1 minute longer. Then I will make sure that I ensures that I complete the next question in 1 minute less than, so that it balances it out. So that at the end part I do have enough time to complete the remaining question in a better quality. So then I will come back to the 10 mark question and then try to complete all the question. Like Richard said, there is no option for you to leave 1-2 questions in every paper. That will lead to 7-8 question, and then you will be out of the race. So you have to, as far as possible, attempt as many questions as possible. If there is one question where you have no idea, maybe you might miss that question, but even then also, I think it's a good idea to write something at least, because you might get at least 1 mark, 2 mark there.
So again, it requires a lot of practice, na?
Yes, it requires a lot of practice.
Yeah, because if you miss out any question, for example, Richard, he could have cleared civil service last year itself. So I think he found the senior a little late.
Yeah.
So now I'll again open time for the attendees to ask questions related to mains. Again, they can raise their hand. So one has already done that, Mohammed. I'll give you the opportunity to ask question. The question should be main specific. So Mohammed, you can direct your question.
Yeah, okay. Can you hear me? Am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, firstly, my question is based on prelims because I raised my hands, but I didn't get the chance. And I feel this question is very much important for me because I conduct many mock tests, but I'm failing in CSAT exams. Any books or something related to CSAT can you suggest? Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear him?
Yes,
Akram?
Hello?
Richard, go ahead.
No, no, Akram should.
In CSET, like I did not refer specific books. I was a bit confident about my CSET. So, but having said so, like I think you have to practice the last year's CSET paper first and foremost, and see what kind of questions are coming. Where are the topics where you are not able to answer the question correctly? Whether it's English comprehension part, if it is English comprehension part, then you can refer to any English comprehension materials like either from an SSC book or some MBA examination books. And then if it is in maths, then you have to work on the basics topic like percentage, profit and loss, time and work. There will be some questions related to the topics, and then you can work on the logical reasoning as well. There are some concepts related with logical reasoning. Videos are freely available in YouTube. If you are a bit confused, you can seek those videos for reference, and practice a bit. Like that you already know that you are weak in that, and it's believe me, like I've seen a lot of people who are really weak, but they really improve after practicing for like couple of months. And you don't have to you have to practice it daily for some hours, 1 or 2 hours daily, and then after a few months your confidence will be there. But you cannot leave the practice before the exam. You have to ensure that you continue the practice till the prelim exam, and in that way you will be very relatively easier to clear the CSAT exam. I think you have to score just 66%, so 66 marks. So it should not be a big deal if you do the necessary works.
Anything to add, Richard?
Uh, yeah, I would just suggest that whether you're able to, attempt enough questions, because I have
Yeah.
seen people like they know the answers, but they're not able to attempt enough questions, and that's how they fall short. They score 60, 65, and then they're not able to reach by 1 mark or 2 marks. So also look into that. Try to increase your speed. And then, like Akam said, this is a qualifying paper, so you don't need to worry too much about it. But also, yeah, give adequate time into it. Hopefully, you'll clear soon.
Mm. So I hope you got your answer, Mohammed, and we again wish you all the best. We hope that you clear the exam as soon as possible, and hope to be able to host you again. So there's a very nice question from Coop in the comment section. He says, how can you increase your writing speed with quality in mains?
Uh, that is, the art, you have to understand, first of all, learn the art of answer writing. So that also takes time. That's why I said, start your answer writing fast. Because the first answers that you write, it will not be as per UPSC standards. It will be some of the worst answers maybe you have written. You wouldn't feel like showing it to anyone, or else you wouldn't even feel like, calling it a answer for this exam. So the first and foremost is just understanding how to answer the question. And then the second, I think gradually you improve on structuring your answers. And then third is like addition, like giving examples or quotes, or making your answer unique. Like Akram was saying, if you can put creativity in your answers. And then ultimately at the end is like finishing the answers. So if you can finish the question paper on time. So, if you have enough practice, I think you'll be able to master this. And once you master the art of answer writing, and in mains, you can easily clear mains.
Anything you'd like to add, Akram?
Yeah, and I think adding to what he said, getting it checked from someone who knows what a good answer is, it's a good way to recognize where the area where you can improve upon. So work on that also, like if possible, get it checked to someone, if not necessarily from from coaching center, but if from someone successful or someone who has given the mains, they they will be able to give a critical view about your answer, and in that way you can improve a bit better as well.
So I hope you got the answer. And we are right now taking specific questions only for mains. So there are some questions which I am skipping on purpose. I hope you understand. And we'll be taking those questions at the end. So now moving on to the next part. The next is interview. I think it's the most important one. It's the most interesting one. So how did you guys prepare for interviews? Did you guys have mock interviews? Richard, you can go first.
Yeah. So for the interview, it is the final stage, and if you have made still the main, if you have cleared main, you should be confident in yourself, that you are worth for this exam. You have something in you, for which you have been able to reach the interview stage of this prestigious exam. So my suggestion for the interview is, if you, you can attend some mock interviews, uh, around 3 to 4 mock interviews, not too many that you'll get confused with different advisors. I've seen people attending 8, 9 mock interviews, 10 interviews, and then they get confused, because every panelist, will give different opinions, and then ultimately, they goof up in the interview. So again, I've also, seen people just attending 1 or 2 mock interviews. In my first attempt, actually, I had done that. I just attended 1 mock, and then that was the reason why my interview score was just average. So I should have attended at least 2 or 3, to get a better insight. And then, how do you prepare for the interview? So factual knowledge is already there. If you have cleared prelims and mains, you don't need to worry about that. The only thing is that there's a detailed application form which you fill your DEF. It's called the DEF. So you have to master your DEF. And once you master your DEF, you can be comfortable with any question, because the majority of the questions that they ask will be related with your DEF. For instance, they might ask you something about your hometown, or if you have studied in some places, they might ask something significant about that place. So you have to look into those aspects. They may ask simple things like something from your hobby, why you would choose such a hobby, or or something that you have written in your DEF, something interesting. They will dig deep into those questions. And so try to if you are before the interview, just try to look into your DEF, and then try to master your DEF. Once you are comfortable with your DEF, I think you can very easily approach the interview.
And anything to add, Akram?
Yeah, like Richard said, interview, once you clear the mains, you already have the sufficient knowledge, the factual knowledge, and first and foremost, it's personality test. Like it's not so they will be looking the way you speak, what are the kind of opinion you forms, what are your characters, and so you have to be a little bit aware about it, a bit conscious about what how you are presenting yourself. And like he said, it's interview, it's about how you as a person present yourself on that day. It's like you being a salesperson, and you are presenting, selling yourself to the interview board. So you have to bring out the best version of yourself. Your opinion should be articulate, and if you are able to do that, then you will be getting a good mark in interview. Interview is a conversation, it's not a knowledge testing, and the conversation will go freely if you are confident on that day. And sometimes the question will flow from your answer. For example, you had given an answer on ASFA, and what is your opinion about it, and then they might ask you why is that opinion about it, and then you should know what are the things related with ASFA. So in that way, the question might spread to that way, and it might become a conversation as well. So I think for a new beginner, this is what I have to add. That in my opinion, interview is the easiest part. Do not worry about it now. You have more than enough time after the mains to master and practice really well for mocks and others.
Okay, so Akram, you just mentioned a very subjective question. So about ASPA. So is there any correct answer for that? What if I say no, and someone
yes,
saying yes?
Yes, you can say either yes or no. It's a matter of opinion. Like if you are saying no, then you should have a reason why you are saying no. If you are saying yes, then you should have a reason why you are saying Yes. So that's how you justify the answer, and people are not there to judge you, like about your, holding an opinion about it. They will try to check how your opinion is, whether it's biased or whether it's rational. So if you have a rational opinion about the things, then there is nothing wrong in voicing your opinion. They will like to, because in administration it's important for the, civil servant to take a stand as well. So if you have a stand as a person, you are a principal, man of principle, and the principle itself has a, a standing where it's right and the wrong. So you are standing for the right side, then be proud and just say it about it. And I don't think there will be any negative marking for that as well.
And what about you, Richard? Anything to add?
Yeah, whenever you give an opinion, you should have some solid evidence backing that
Yes.
sense, whatever you take. It shouldn't just be because you think it should be like that. Governance doesn't work that way. So, you should have an understanding of the topic that is being discussed, and you should be able to present it. Also, if you don't know something, you should admit, you should have the humility to
Yes.
admit that you don't know, rather than trying to bluff the examiners, because
Mhm.
they will try to corner you, and these people are really expert. They really know how to corner you, and then once you are trapped, and if you give an answer which may sound radical, or may sound contrary or contradictory to what you have been stating before, your interview marks will go really down, and so that's the end of the road if you do that.
So I read in one of the articles that Richard, you had one of the toughest boards.
Yeah, I had Batista as my interview board chairman, so he is considered among the tougher boards because he's very direct. But having said that, if you present your arguments well, if you can present your case before him in a manner which he finds it to be as per the requirements of the UPSC, he will reward you with good marks. And I did get good marks because of that. Not only me, but some of my other friends who were also giving the interview with me. We did really well. In fact, in my interview board, there were 6 of us, and 3 of us got into the Indian Administrative Service. So there was a very high selection rate, not just the civil service, but the IA. So, interview boards which appear the most daunting, or which may appear the toughest, in the if you uh, face them well, or if you can answer them well, it can give you a high reward in the end.
Mhm. So Akram, can you mention any of the instance that you can't forget during your interviews?
Uh, Actually, my interview was after the lockdown, so I had to go with face shield, face masks, gloves. So I was not able to see the face of the interviewer, and neither they can see me. So there was no facial contact as such. And I found it a little bit odd and a bit. I had never practiced with masks and facial before, so it was a bit uncomfortable in the beginning. And second is in the interview, like my first question was why people from Northeast love football, and that was the first question I had expected, and it did come that question, and it was a well prepared question, so it did go in a good tempo to begin with. And in between, I had there was some technical question related to my computer science, one or two, which I was not able to answer it decently. But the rest of the question were mostly on the expected line. The most of the topic that I had prepared from my detailed application form, and it was a really smooth interview.
Mhm. So any specific instance that you can't forget, Mr. Richard?
Uh, well, my interview began with a direct question. There was no introduction. I was
Mhm.
expecting that at least they'll allow me to introduce myself, but there was no introduction as such. As Batista is known, he just asked me, since this is your second attempt, second interview, you think you must be knowing everything. So he was trying to, make me nervous, or I don't know, but I answered that, and then there was a follow-up question, and so on. Also, there was a member in the interview board who really was trying to make, us, the candidates, nervous, because he wasn't letting us complete the answers. He would ask the question, and then within 10 or 20 seconds, he would argue with another question, and you really couldn't argue with that person. But I think that was a test. It was a trap to see who would be able to withstand pressure, because while in governance you will work under tremendous pressure. So maybe that was a test for us, and luckily I was able to overcome that.
Yeah, that's very good. Thank you so much for sharing all of this. Now again, we'll open time for Q&A regarding interviews. Is there anyone among the attendees or anyone who is willing to ask any question regarding interviews? So yeah, you are requested to raise hand. In between, I have more questions. I'll read some of the questions in the chat box. So one question goes, what keeps you motivated? I'll direct this question to Akram since he has been preparing for a longer time. So what what motivated you to keep going?
See, motivation, motivation is a bit tricky idea, but there can be demotivation as well, the reverse of motivation. The thing that motivates me is like the goal, my destination. Despite when I fell in my previous attempt, I knew that it was not because of who I am, but what I did. So I was making mistakes at that time. I knew that the destination is there to be reached. It's how I approach it, and that is one of the factor. Second is I had no option as well. What are the options? I had to get selected, and I had to do whatever was necessary. I do not particularly like reading. I don't enjoy reading, but I had to read it because there was a means to get to the dream that I have. So there is the dream that keep you awake. That is the dream that pull you up in the morning, and make you do the things that is necessary. And there can be demotivation as well, when sometimes things happen to you, and you might feel like giving it up also. But you have to remember that why you began in the first place. So don't worry about it. Motivation will come as you put the hard works. In the first phase it might be a bit difficult, but once you get used to it, it can be an enjoyable journey as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'll keep this question open for both. There's a question regarding the interviews. So is there any specific question that you feel or you think you have answered really well and you impressed the board? So anybody can go first.
For me, I don't think it was one particular question that I answered well. I think, as I said, they were trying to put pressure, and then I was able to withstand that. I think because of that reason, in the end, before I left, Basi sir just asked my name, and then he was holding my photograph, and they write something. We have to submit, a couple of passport size photographs. They write some feedback on that. So he was just holding it up, and he was smiling, and he was asking me something about me. After I left, I had a feeling that I must have done okay or decently well. So when the results came out, it was a pleasant surprise.
And what about you, Akram?
Yeah, in my interview, it's how you know whether someone likes it, is on their face, and the facial expression I was not able to see it, so I was a bit confused as well, but there were questions where I feel like I had given a decent answer, but when I came out of the interview board, that time I feel like I had done 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10, and I feel like I had done good enough work. I put it enough answer. Could have been a little bit better, but I knew that at that time that I will be getting a decent mark in the interview, not a bad mark. So yeah, coming out, I had a good feeling about it.
Mm-hmm. So then moving on to the next section. Now it's a little more general. So we'll take general questions now. So what kind of learning system did you guys adopt? Did you go for rote learning or any specific type of learning system? So Richard, you can answer first.
Learning depends on the individual. Some people are good in memorizing facts and figures. They have good memory power, so they should use it accordingly. Some are very good in creative, arguments. They bring really good arguments before you, and then they are able to expand an idea and explain it in very in a very beautiful manner how that concept or idea can be explained. So it depends. Learning wise, as I've said, for me, time management was one aspect of it, and then the other aspect of it was just studying. So I would make notes, but I wouldn't make too much of notes because I didn't like the idea of just having stacks of notes made up without me going through it. So I had limited notes, and that's how I approached it. Any other query or doubt that I had, I would discuss with my friends or my seniors, and then that's how I would get it solved, or I would look it up into the internet. Today you have the internet, which gives you almost every answer possible. So that was it. Um, and the other part, I think, like we were saying before, keep yourself motivated, setting small targets, having uh, continuous refreshers. So, sometimes I would look at the videos of toppers successful toppers, who will be giving speeches. And then, when I didn't want to study, then I would look at that. I would go back and then grab my book and then start reading again. So that's how I continued my, journey.
And what about you, Akram?
Yeah, I will suggest smart learning system. Like you have to combine whatever it is necessary. Like in the areas where you have to rote learn a bit, like some data, the factual information, you have to do it. The place where you have to creative, you have to skill yourself. And where you have to use the internet, then you have to use the internet. You have to use the technology. You can use the technology for making notes. You can use everything. All the knowledge are at the tips of your palm nowadays, and then you have to sort it out. So I will suggest a smart learning, like and now the way it is moving, you have to be really smart and very uh, precise and creative in how you approach it.
Thank you so much. And I mentioned earlier that the success rate is very low in civil service. So if you take about this year, around 8 lakh candidates registered, out of which only 829 successful candidates. So the success rate is very, very low, 0.1%. So if we talk about this, it shows how tough the exam is. So do you guys think coaching in urban setting is required for clearing civil service?
Coaching is coaching you know is a business. Coaching, for you, for them, you are customer, and
Mhm.
you are buying a products. So it's just like you buy the things that is necessary from the stores. If you feel like you have some area where you need a coaching, a bit of a guidance, then you can apply for coaching, and there is no harm in it. But having said so, like, you should not just join the coaching for the sake of it. Like, you should join it if it is really necessary, especially in the beginning where you feel a bit uh, directionless. That time it's not a bad idea to join the coaching. But even the coaching and the institution will admit, at the end the selection is about the self study, what you do back after you return it. So it might give you a little bit of a push, but how you run, it depends on what kind of running you do. So work on it, and if that product is necessary, buy it. And just like other stuff, when you buy it, if you don't want to use it, don't use it. So if you don't feel like attending the class, you feel like you can read it better at home, then you can stop in between as well. So there is no harm if there is no economic side to it.
Mhm. And what about you, Richard?
Yeah, in addition, I would just say that, going to metro cities, you're far away from your homes, you're far away from your loved ones. If you stay in a PG, you'll miss your home cooked food. So it can work, and then you'll be living in, not the best of conditions. Delhi is a hot place, and then, you'll face so many issues. So it can be a disadvantage, in fact, if you don't utilize the opportunity of coaching. Like Akram said, it's a product, and it's before you. How you use it depends on you. So you go to Delhi, you get distracted, you roam around with friends, have a good time there. You're just wasting so many productive years of your youthful age, which could have been otherwise, utilized elsewhere. And then you're placing a huge economic burden on your family. That money could have been used for something more productive. So you'll have to take into consideration that. So while planning to go out to metro cities or any other city, for coaching, you should be careful about these aspects, like the locality where you're going to stay, whether you're going to stay in a PG rented apartment, or the coaching environment there, whether you'll be able to adapt to that environment and all. So you have to take those things into consideration. Other than that, there are so many free stuff on the internet now that the same materials that is provided in the coaching is available to you, and most of them are free of cost, so you can utilize that. And if there is some topic or concept which you really don't understand even after reading those materials, then you can always approach your seniors or someone who is an expert in that, or you can take up a small course for that, online course for that, and then you'll be able to cover those topics as well.
Mhm. So, Akram, I think you stayed in Jamia Residential Center for a few years. So, do you think it is open for every? Do you know if it's open for everybody? Anybody can apply?
RCA is it's a pet project of Ministry of Minority Affairs, UGC and Jamia. It is a free residential coaching academy for minority, SC, ST, and women. There are around 200 seats in RCA. Every year they conduct an examination, and if you are able to clear the examination, you will be allotted a hostel where you can stay a whole year, there is a good environment, very good competitive environment where you can improve yourself upon. The focus is more on self-reading there. There will be a provision of library. The food will be provided by mess. The course is very cheap, and you will get a support system. So it's a good idea for people from Northeast who belong to those categories to apply for this coaching. And not just in Jamia, there are 3 others RCA in Delhi as well. One in Jamia Hamdard, another in Hamdard Study Circle. It's nearby to both of them are nearby to each other, and then the Jamia Millia Islamia RCA where I stayed. So you can apply this 3 exam. Normally the form will come after the prelim exam, and there it will have 2 stages. One will be the pen and paper examination, and second will be the interview. They will shortlist those who cleared the written exam. So I think it's a very good idea. One more thing is like, therefore, as it is a free residential coaching, it's a bit competitive. So you have to be a bit aware about the syllabus before you apply for it. Otherwise, it will be a little bit difficult. So once you have read like 6-7 months of UPSC syllabus, then I think you will be in a position to clear the RC exam.
Yeah, I think that's very important, especially for us who come from a very humble background. Most of our parents are not able to afford expensive coaching here in Delhi. Not just about the coaching, then we have to talk about the PG or the rooms that we rent. They're all very expensive. Most of them are just for business sake. You don't get treated very well in Delhi in many places. So I think that's a very important thing, especially for us. Thank you for mentioning that, Akram.
Yeah.
So another very important question: when did you guys start thinking about civil service as a career opportunity?
Yeah, for me, it began relatively younger. I had the passion, since I was young. And then in my ninth or 10th standard, that's when I seriously thought that, I'll make a career in the civil services. I'll try for it at least, if not in the union level, at least in the state level. So, that is when I seriously began thinking about it. But for the preparation, I started after my graduation. So I graduated in 2017. After a month or so, I began my preparation, and that's how I've given my attempt.
And Akram?
I I I started thinking about civil service as a career option after my graduation. Like in my last semester in graduation, I had the opportunity to work in a software firm in Bangalore. So I had contemplated joining that during my graduation. But after the graduation, I started having a second thought about having a career in administration. Then I graduated in 2015. I started preparation around 2015 October, November, around there.
So what advice would you give to high school students, people who have just started dreaming about civil service?
Yes, it's a good thing to start dreaming. Keep your dream intact. You need to as far as the preparation is concerned, I think you can start later during your graduation. In the high school, I think you can focus on what you are studying at the same right now. Try to be a topper. Try to go for IIT exam or a medical exam, or try to score good mark in board so that you can go to the good educational institution, and that education institution will give you a platform where you can develop a overall personality development. Your knowledge will broaden, and that thing will equip you to be well prepared when the times come for you to give the exam. So I will suggest them to be motivated and be focused on their studies.
And what about you, Richard?
Yeah, starting young is always good. If you're passionate about the civil services from a young age, you're already on the right track, to becoming a civil servant. So, you just like you study what you can, you try to do well in your academics, because ultimately when we start preparing for the civil services, we again go back to the same NCRTs which we were studying, when we were in our 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you study it well at that time, it will always be beneficial for you when you start preparing. And if you're interested, you can always read some, news articles or some books by senior civil servants, to get more clarity and idea about the services. Today, you have so many videos on, how to prepare for the civil services, or what steps you should take. You can do that. So whatever you are doing, focus on that. And those things will come in handy in the civil services. Everything you learn, ultimately gets utilized in this exam, because this exam, as we have said, it's a very broad canvas, and everything that you learn, you can use it, to paint in that canvas, which will ultimately help in your selection.
And I think to be a civil servant, you need to be motivated not only internally, you need some external motivation as well. So when you talk about external motivation, the first group of people that come to our mind is our family. So what kind of support do you expect the family to give, or do you want the family to give?
Yeah, fortunately, I had a very good support system. My family supported me throughout the entire ordeal. I didn't appear for any of the engineering exams, even though they supported me in that, that I wanted to try the civil services first, and they were okay with that. So, family or any support system, it does matter. Even if you're taking coaching in Delhi, for instance, you'll need a good environment, a good support system. You'll need people with positive vibes, people who will motivate you, not discourage you. So, that kind of a support system is really required. It keeps you motivated. It helps you take care of stress, because you face a lot of stress, and at times you may feel depressed. That will also be taken care of to a large extent if you have a good support system. So parents or anyone for that matter, your significant partner or your siblings or anyone, who can be a good support system, they should support the candidate while preparing for the civil services exam.
And what about you, Akram?
Yeah, adding to what you were saying, I think yes, you need a support system that trusts you, that motivates you, that encourages you, that make you to be the best version of yourself, like that motive. So I think, like, yes, there is a financial aspect to the support system, and that some people might be more fortunate than the other, and that is there. But as far as the emotional support is concerned, like we are I think some people are well, kind of like well supported, and I consider myself very well, very lucky in that aspect. I had a good friend circle who were aspirant just like me, and who were dedicated. And then my family was always supported when I was not able to clear as well. And I think once you have a decent support system from your family and your loved one, then you know that it's it's just now up to you to give the best you can, so that you are able to live up to their trust and their belief in you. So I think it can go in a very good way if you have a good support system.
And what do you say about the society? Is it important that we isolate ourselves from certain section of society, or do you think we can be anywhere and still be successful?
See, as far as like society is concerned, like you live in a society, you can't run away from the society. That's a reality. But having said so, in terms of socialization, like you have to stay away from the people who are not, you know, who are not into, who doesn't understand what you are doing, like who are being disturbing to you, because you cannot afford to lose your time. I mean this more for people coming from Northeast. Like we have to be a bit aware about the kind of the company we keep when we are preparing, if you are preparing in Delhi. So try to mix a little bit with the people from other background as well, not just the people from our side. And in that way, your personality will develop a bit in that aspect. And what is right and what is wrong, and and it's up to you, like when you are socializing with the company which is detrimental to what you are doing, then you are making fool of yourself. So you have to be aware about it. And the first priority and the only job you have is to study uh, at that time. So that is the primary thing, the rest are secondary.
And what about you, Richard?
Yeah, you cannot really isolate yourself from society because no person is an island. So you live in a society, and you'll meet both people who give you positive feedback, positive support, and people who are not really supportive, or people who may have negative attitude towards what you are doing. And also, like Akram was saying, if you can mingle with aspirants, from any part of the country, it necessarily doesn't have to be only from your state or from your region. So if you can, because they'll teach you a lot. They know a lot about their place, and you'll be able to learn a lot about what they are thinking, because they have been brought up in a slightly different environment. So their way of thinking, their ideas, and you can use those to further learn, and so mingle with those people who are really into this exam, not just for the sake of preparing for it, but who are really dedicated towards this exam. And you'll automatically find that you're improving over time. As you mingle more and more with people who are truly passionate about this exam.
Thank you so much for the responses. There are some questions in the chat box as well. So one of these questions is, I think it's very relevant for both of you. The person says, is there any possibility of a person with maths background to clear UPSC? So let's say science background. What do you say?
I think math is one of the highest scoring optionals if you do it right. Look at last year's topper Kanish. You'll be amazed at at the score he had achieved in mathematics. So if you're good in mathematics, I say go for it. Your selection is almost guaranteed based on your optional score.
Yeah, maths, like you can clear with any background to begin with. But if you are good at maths, like that's a very added advantage. Like if you are well aware about the syllabus, optional syllabus, then you are in a in a really good position to excuse me.
Okay, so there is another question here. The person has said, is it true that while taking coaching, there is not much time to study? So how do you manage your time? You when you reach home, you might get very exhausted. So how do you manage study and classes?
Yeah, initially I had very little time to study after coming back from my classes. So my classes, began at around 7 in the morning, and they ended by around 3. So I would reach home by around 4:35. So I had around 2 or 3 hours to study. But again, you have to know that whatever you're learning in the class, that is also part of your learning. Say that I'll just attend the classes and then I'll try to learn by self-studying. That doesn't work. So whatever they teach in the class, pay attention to it, and then just at home you can revise it maybe. And then once your coaching is done, or once even if you're not taking coaching, then you have the luxury of studying as per your plan. So you have flexibility in that, and you'll be saving a lot of time on traveling. You'll have probably an hour, or an hour and a half extra every day. So that is an added advantage. If you're not taking coaching, if even if you are taking coaching, you have to pay attention in the class. I've seen people just writing notes and then thinking that they'll go home and then study it, but they never study it. They just keep on prolonging it, and then it piles up, and then in the end, they're not really able to cover the syllabus.
Mhm. Anything to add, Akram?
Yeah, I missed the question.
So the question is, when you take coaching, it gets tiring after so many classes in a day. So when you reach home, you might be exhausted. So how do you manage both coaching as well as studying?
Yes, coaching is just like you go to school, like in that way, when you return you are little tired after you return from the school. you know that's okay because that's for everyone.
Mhm.
That when you return it, try to refresh yourself a bit, and then you have to ensure that, like like Richard said, okay, you covered what was taught in the class that day. You cannot pile it up. Once you pile it up, then it will become overburden. So no matter what, whether you are tired or not, you have to really look into whatever has been taught in the exam. And if you go for coaching, half the day will be gone. So you get limited time, so you have to make the most of that limited time. And I think there is no option, even if you are like tired. I think there is no point in even talking about it. I think you have to do it. And we all are adult, and that's the only job you have, like on the whole day.
Mhm. And there's another question here. The person has asked, is it compulsory to read all the NCRT textbooks or only specific classes?
See, NCRT is yeah, it's depends. Like for example, I feel like for geography you need to read the NCRT thoroughly. But for some topics like society, I don't think it's necessary to read the NCRT also. So yeah, and then there are topics in there are some NCRTs like this one, economics. Yeah, macroeconomics. It give you a good base so that you can understand the economic books better. So it's a base material. If you have the time, I think it's not a bad idea to read the diverse NCRT. But if you have a limited time, then you can just start reading the standard book as well. So it's up to you, how well you are aware about the topics.
Mhm. And anything to add, Richard?
Yeah, my suggestion would be more or less the same. You read NCRTs if you're not able to understand the standard textbooks, the language, if you find it too technical, or that you don't find the language comfortable. Then you go to the NCRTs first to get an idea of what the concepts are being taught. Then you move on to your standard textbooks. But if you're already comfortable with the standard books, I mean, there's no reason to waste time in your NCRTs. But like Akram said, there are certain NCRTs which can really help you. It can help you clear small doubts or boost your concepts, and then you can use that to understand um, the topic or the subject, whichever subject you are reading.
Mhm. And there's another question here regarding history. So the person says, ancient and medieval history has always been the most difficult part. Was it the same for you guys?
Yeah, I hated history, like that, but yeah, history, especially the culture part, the art and culture, and the ancient and the medieval part, it's a little bit difficult. It's very vast, and it's very difficult to remember. But you have, it's not about like mastering and becoming the best in ancient and medieval history. It's about having the necessary knowledge, and that part, I think it's doable. It's not very difficult to do that part. You just have to read a little bit more on that in the area where you are finding it difficult. And this is more important. This topic is more difficult for prelim and especially for prelim. So in prelim, like what you have to ensure is that if there are like seven question from this two section, then you have to ensure that you got it like three correct or four correct, and even if you don't know the remaining three, then that's okay also. So you prioritize and rationalize your preparation, because there are much more topic as well. So it's not the worst thing that you are finding it difficult.
Mhm. And what about you, Richard?
Uh, yeah, yes, Akram was saying I mostly agree with what he has been talking about. So I wouldn't give too much I wouldn't divert too much from him. Basically what he has said is correct, and I agree mostly with what he said.
Mhm. So then there is another question here. He says, how do you make sure that you make quality notes? And then is it mandatory to go for coaching or self-preparation? So again, we're coming back to the question of notes. If you feel you have answered enough, we can move next.
I just like to say that while making notes, you should keep different sections. Like you shouldn't jumble up all your notes together. Note making doesn't mean you read something and then you put it and then confuse. If you mix history, economy, polity, and then everything, it gets mixed up. You don't know what is what. So what you can do is whenever you make notes, you can make sections. Even within, for instance, you can make a section on agriculture, poverty, and all subsections within sections, and then you can make notes with that. Also, while keeping making notes, you can always connect your core and the current, as in whatever core concept you have learned, you can relate it to some current affairs or some happenings, and then you'll be able to interconnect those two, and then you'll be able to come up with very good answers, or you'll be able to understand the topics in a very proper manner.
Mhm. And anything to add, Akram?
Yes, the adding to what he was saying, like the note should be relatively short as well, like so that you can recollect on the exam day, especially in mains. And in the adding to what Richard said, like the note should be in such a way that it is structured, like in it has to be in such a way that when you open the notes, you know what is being written and what was the context to which you have written there. So what I did was, like, I made a different notebooks for every paper. And then I started dividing the notebooks into section itself, like for paper 3, disaster management section, then the economy section, agriculture section, in that way. And then I put like some color coding to the notes, and in that way, that really helped me in revising. So it's not about the content will be more or less the same, like the quality of the notes will depends on how well you will be able to understand and revise at the end part.
Very good points. There is another very good question here from Lalboi Dongel. He says, how many sincere attempts should one give? So I think this is more suitable for Akram. He might have
See,
thought about this.
see, you have to give. See, there is no, because one attempt is 1 year. So whatever attempt you give, it has to be sincere. You might come up short, but you should be very sincere in your attempt. If you are not sincere in your attempt, then you are fooling yourself. So there is no point for you giving the exam if you are not sincere enough. Because if you are not sincere enough, then you won't clear the exam. So you do not have the option of not being sincere in your attempts.
Mhm. And Richard, what do you think about keeping Plan B?
Yeah, you should definitely attempt other exams as well, because there's a limited number of posts in this exam. So there's no sure, no one can give you the surety that you'll get selected. But with the amount of preparation and the level of studying which you'll be undertaking in this exam, you'll find the other exams comparatively easier. So if you don't make it to the final list or so, you can make it into the state services, or you can make it into some other central services or the SSP and all. So you should have a plan B, and then plan B will also give you assurance, and and it will give you a safety net through which you can use to help you in your preparation. And then even if you don't make it, you'll always have that security that you have something in the end.
Mhm. So what's your inspiration for civil service? You know, there's another question. What's your inspiration for CSE, civil service examinations? So Akram, can you answer first?
Yeah, yeah. I had no. There was no particular person per se for inspiration, but mostly my family. Like especially my mother. She was the one who gave me the inspiration.
Okay. And Richard?
For me, it was the prospect of working in governance, something which I've always dreamt of, becoming a bureaucrat. So that was my inspiration.
Mm-hmm. So who will you give your credit for success?
First and foremost, I would give my credit to God. Secondly, my family, friends, well-wishers, my teachers. Starting from my nursery to the days when I've taken coaching. So all of them, well-wishers, and then support staff, everyone who has been with me throughout my journey.
And Akram?
Yeah, same with him. Like, first and foremost, I will give it to the Almighty. Without His blessing, nothing is possible. And second, like Richard said, the family, especially my mother, my brothers, and siblings, and my friends and teachers, who always help me, who encourage me when I'm down, and which give me the support system that enables me to work, and bring the best out of myself. And so, thank you to all of them.
Mm-hmm. That's so good to hear. So now we're heading to the final remarks. So what are the final tips and tricks for CSE that you'd like to give? Richard, would you like to go first?
Okay. Some tricks that I would suggest, more tips. So, read, but don't study too much. I mean, don't read too many materials. You may find some people reading this and that, and then you may get worried that, she is reading that, so I'll read this. It'll just be too much. So you have to have confidence in what you're reading. If you've been reading as per the syllabus, you'll have more or less the entire thing covered, and then you should do that. My second tip would be, keep yourself motivated through, the things that you like doing. For instance, it may be a call, a talk with your family, your parents, anything. Just keep yourself motivated in that. Like I said, keep your weekly targets. They're beneficial. They help you cover large syllabus by breaking it down. My third tip would be environment. It's really important who you hang around with. Try to be with people who are as equally passionate about the civil services as you are. Another tip that I would like to give is stay healthy and eat healthy. A lot of times during this exam, we ignore our health, and then that also plays a reason why, in the end, we feel frustrated, we feel weak, and then we're not able to perform. So that is another suggestion. And my final suggestion would be practice, practice, and practice some more. What I mean by that is keep attempting test series, keep attempting answer writing, and then keep working on it. Eventually, you will make it somewhere. So these are some of the tips that I would like to share with you.
Thank you so much, Richard. And what about you, Akram?
Yes, Richard has beautifully summed up most of the tips. I will stress one point that he said. We have to be especially and this is especially for people with a similar background like us. Sometime when we come to prepare in Delhi, or even if you are preparing from home, sometimes things may become like a bit uh, insurmountable. Like, you may feel like the things it's really difficult. That things happen to me also. That thing might happen to you as well. So do not get disheartened by it. Keep good company. Like he said, eat healthy and enjoy the life as well. Like, you is the everything is not just about reading as well. Keep in touch with your friends, families, your loved ones. Follow the things you like as well. So you try to take time out as well, and stay motivated. And this is not the end of it. Exam is not the end of it. The life is much bigger test, and there are much more thing happening outside the exam as well. So do not think, take it very importantly, but do not think too emotionally as well.
So thank you so much. Thank you to all the attendees. Thank you to all the viewers on YouTube. And special thank you to both our panelists, Mr. Akram and Mr. Richard. We are so glad to have you with us here for a little more than 2 hours. You were very patient, very kind. Even though there were some interruptions, you were still with us. Thank you so much for all the valuable advices. I hope many people benefit from from this valuable talk, and I hope that you both Akram and Richard work really hard. It's not the end. I know that it's just a starting. So I hope that as you start your work, you do something good, not just for yourself, not just for your family, but for your whole family, for the whole society. When I say society, not just your tribe, not just your community, but even the whole India, wherever you're posted. So we wish you the best of luck. Have a long and a prosperous journey of life. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I'd
Thank you for
also
having
like
us.
to convey my best wishes to all the aspirants.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good night.
Good night.